Lego Island 2, I will keep saying Lego instead of Lego since I'm just so used to it as a German, was one of my favorite games as a kid. But what about nowadays? I played every version of it again, or for my first time ever, to see if it's still as charming as it always was. So let's get to building some bricks. Let's start with the worst version, the Game Boy Color one, which I had as a kid, and even back then I already knew it's not the best, especially since I also had the PC game. I swear I was not a spoiled brat who had tons of video games. You get told to bring a pizza to the Brickster and that's what you do, but oh no, he has his dragon breath technique ready to break out yet again. How about we just don't let him eat any pizza anymore? Is it too hard to do for people on Lego Island? Is not getting pizza worse than the death sentence here? So you go around, having to deliver some pickaxe to a building, so he lets you pass by on the road, aimlessly skating till you go to the right spot just so you can fall down into a hole that the Brickster bots have shoveled for you, which reveals some ancient underground tunnel under the island that you have to escape from because your big brain can solve these insane puzzles. As a Bioshock Infinite player, I obviously have the brain power to easily do this on my first try. Sometimes I scare myself with how smart I am. I have actually never played Bioshock Infinite. After some sick jumps and some more hard puzzles, you get to fight your first boss fight, the Rock Monster from Lego Rock Raiders. A game I always wanted to have on PC but never got. See, I didn't got every game I wanted. Confirmed to not be a spoiled child. Just shoot pizza into his mouth and win. I like to imagine Pepper shoots the pizza right into his mouth, so he eats them and gets sick from eating too much, instead of a Rock Monster getting defeated by getting shot by pizza, which doesn't make sense. It made me wish this whole section would have also existed in the real version of the game. Could have been cool. Luckily, one thing that didn't make it into any other game was the stealth part. Nobody likes stealth in a game not made for it. It may only take 20 seconds, but I failed once, so I tried to be fast this time and failed again. And maybe again because that's what always happens. Instead of shortly taking your time, you just want to do it fast and end up taking longer thanks to your own stubbornness. So you escape and end up in the jungle, getting attacked by the people living here and then getting magically teleported away since they don't want you to know their secrets. We all have those. If you tell me one of your secrets, I will tell you one of mine. Also, I love these little pixel art cutscenes, even if they're just a still image. One of the few nice things I can really say about the game since it's just walking. No minigames, nothing else really happens, and I'm already tired talking about it because there's nothing to talk about. Now you're in the Middle Ages. Go through a maze where people had way too much paint on their feet and walked all over it for whatever reason. Go back and forth a few times and then you finally get something resembling actual gameplay again. A boss fight where you just have to avoid the baddie. Even though in real life you don't want to avoid the baddies, do you? Oh, I forgot to mention there was a pseudo-stealth section before that, where you have to avoid getting into the line of sight of the bandits, but at least you got an upgraded pizza shooter at this stage that can knock back enemies. But it doesn't really truly help too much anyways. Then we go to Ogle Island, an island made by the Brickster in space. I always thought this was just the moon, also spelled Ogle backwards, it means Lego. Go through a dumb maze again and fight against the multi-phase final boss battle where it becomes maybe 2% fun. I mean, it said a lot already that I said I didn't like the game too much as a kid. It's not unusual to play a game again that you loved as a kiddo and then end up not enjoying it anymore as an adult, but did that ever happen the other way around? Hating a game as a kid and then loving it as an adult? I personally can't think of one. During the game, you can also pick up trading cards, and here I can say the most positive thing about it. I love the art here. It feels like this is where all the love went instead of into the actual game. You can even trade them. I will trade you one of my Mama Briccolinis for one of the cards I haven't gotten, since I got 5 of her. Imagine doing a 100% speedrun of this game and you have to keep playing the game over and over till you get all the cards since they look to be randomized. I think playing Russian roulette sounds more appealing to me. The Game Boy Advance version should have been called Fetch Quest the Game, and somehow I enjoyed my time with it. Remember those Cartoon Network resort games where you have to find an item and bring it to one of the Powerpuff Girls and then carry some other item to that cowardly dog, and that was basically the whole game? Same deal here, just with some lame minigames in between. In all the other games, it's your fault that the Brickster escaped. Here, it wasn't. Someone else delivered an extra spicy pizza to him, but it's still you who has to fix all of this mess. Because you're the dude with the food, I guess. If I were an underpaid pizza delivery driver, I would most likely also let the Brickster escape to show my boss what I think of him. What are they gonna do? Put me into jail even though they only have one cell, so it's either between me and the Brickster? I survived 4 years in jail once. A few more can't hurt me too much. It's also the biggest Lego island ever. The other games feel a bit empty and small, but here you have tons of random NPCs that have some really weird dialogue at times. Some of them have joined the cult. tons of boomers complaining about young kids and how everything back in the days was better. This guy wants to be a tree. Something is just off about these people, maybe it's just Florida. And then there's also the lighthouse keeper who wants you to bring him a fish so he can cook it for dinner to impress his lady friend. Which implies he will be getting laid later today, so sex in Lego Island is real. The Brickster also keeps burping right into your face and sometimes just randomly appears and makes fun of you. Just like how the Infomaniac walks right into your house without you even asking him to. Get the hell out, I don't want old men in my house, I'm not into that. Except for myself when I become old enough. Hopefully I never will. And that's all you do, with some minigames sprinkled in, like having to pick apples without worms inside of them. Why is it so photorealistic? What about this crab? Wouldn't a Lego crab or kraken be good enough? I like it this way though, makes it stand out and shows the developers at least had some fun making it. Or maybe it was total torture for them anyways. What I loved was that getting to the Middle Ages here wasn't some time portal you had to go through. Instead it's a little island that's modeled after one of those medieval fairs. Throwing cakes and just having tons of fun, if you're into that. I'm into having fun, who isn't? Fun is great, yay. It's a bit disappointing that the desert or jungle section is just a bunch of minigames in a row without you being able to explore even just a tiny bit of it. Also the map of it is just really ugly. I don't want to spend a single second more looking at it. The drum minigame track goes really hard though. Now I just want to play some Donkey Kong instead. Before the final boss, there's this jump in one part that makes you think why. The normal platforming tower in the real version of Lego Island 2 is fun, short and makes you think the game could have had a couple more of those. Here, you want to end it all, you want to see the world burn when playing it. It doesn't look too bad, does it? But there's random bricks getting thrown at you from the Brickster bots and you have almost no time to react, and they work like in Mario whenever you get burned. Pepper just wants a bit more than you want him to into a direction and you fall again, and maybe even fall again. Yeah, it may have only taken me 8 minutes to beat this, but those were the worst 8 minutes I had in 2025 so far, and they probably won't be beaten, hopefully. And the final battle is just you having to press the shoot button to hit the Brickster's wall to destroy it and then feed him some pizza, without even getting rewarded. You don't see a little cutscene where you beat him and get back to Lego Island or something like that, it's just over. Like I said, I somehow enjoyed it, mostly the walking around part. I can't even explain why. Maybe it really is just because of all the nostalgic feelings I had for the Cartoon Network resort games and it made me feel young again. I once almost died because I ate some ice cubes while being on the PC and playing Cartoon Network Flash games, but one of the ice cubes went down my throat and it tried to choke me out, but luckily my sister punched me onto my back a couple of times and saved me. I don't actually know if I would have died, probably not. Also, I think the game would have been a bit better if the cam was more zoomed out. It just feels a bit too close to Pepper for me. Would have helped with finding a way around. You also can't drive your skateboard on the road. You always have to use the zebra stripes to cross the road, which is dumb. When I cross the road, I always look right and left, sometimes even take a double look to make sure no car is coming, and you should too. The trading cards in this game are also way uglier, so I didn't really want to talk about them. Look at how big they look on the ground. The PC version of Lego Island 2 is like going to the supermarket and it has everything you would want, while the PS1 version is a smaller store that has a bunch of your favorite snacks missing, but the supermarket is 5 kilometers away, while the tiny store is right around the corner. So you think to yourself, do I just quickly go to the small store or the big store? The biggest argument for the PC version is that the loading times on the PS1 are horrendous, atrocious even. Every time you enter a minigame or house and you have to get back out of it, it takes almost a solid minute. How? Sure, the game looks fairly pretty, but nothing about it makes you think it really needs to load that long. And well, the computer version has some more minigames, like fishing, that the PlayStation 1 version is missing. Fishing and missing, I like rhymes. Too bad that on modern computers, Lego Island 2 has some problems, like how some things are tied to the frame rate, like these butterflies in the main menu, and there's an unbeatable minigame in the game later that once upon a time ruined one of my playthroughs. But I tried to play it again and I couldn't even get to it because it just crashed on another minigame all the time regardless of what I did. So I could only play around half of the PC version again. All the footage from some of the PC only minigames later on in the game will be taken from Mr. HV1's walkthrough on YouTube. Luckily there's not that much missing from the PS1 version. And I have to say, I prefer the console version just for the camera alone anyways. On PC it's one of those games that wants you to mostly play it with the keyboard, so both hands are on there, but the camera sometimes gets stuck on buildings and changes it around, and to move the camera you have to move the mouse, so you have to let go of your keyboard and move the mouse and get the hand back onto the keyboard, and it's just annoying with how often it happens. I love the random Brickster bot on the right here in the main menu. What is he doing here? It starts by having to deliver pizza to people so they give you bricks for your house, which is pretty neat. I wish I would have had my own house already as a teenager. It teaches you the motto of Lego Island 2, having to walk around and find things on the island, because you will have to do that a lot. Some people want pizza, some don't, or just ignore the people that want the pizza and skate around in the skate park with broken physics. It certainly worked better in the PS1 version for me here. But again, the last pizza has to be delivered to the Brickster and he breaks out, who could have thought. I do love the animations of the Brickster bots just flying against stuff, some good old classic slapstick humor. If I could fly, then I would most likely also splash against the bridge. Even birds do that sometimes. Maybe there never was a Lego Island 4 since after the third one they learned to not give pizza out to him anymore though. You gotta catch all the colored Brickster bots now and also the pages to rebuild the buildings by building. Yep, building is back here, just like how he was in the first game, the guy who allowed you to build your own car or helicopter. I still love his punny name, the only acceptable pun. On PC, the pages are really easy to find because of the fancy light boat laser thingy that shoots up into the sky and can be seen from a distance because the render distance is way higher, while on the PS1 their light is barely noticeable and you can't see too far. But on that version, if you walk into a different direction while holding the camera stick into the opposite direction, you walk way faster than normally. Or maybe it just looks like it does, but I swear you go faster this way. Maybe I'm just slowly going insane. Slowly is a good way for this because the skateboard feels slow as hell, especially since you always have to also watch the animation of it. It just takes so long to get it out and also to tug it away. You can also drive cars, but I don't really want to drive cars if I got a cool skateboard. There are a few mods for Lego Island 2 on PC that actually make the skateboard faster, but I didn't want to use them to get the actual experience of it. First step, the Middle Ages. In these little levels you get to walk around and collect items like grails or crystals and they do absolutely nothing, except for giving you some points for your high score, which does nothing really. Or have you ever met a person that bragged about their Lego Island 2 high score? I haven't, so you can just totally ignore these things and go straight for the minigames. Like the collect the bricks from the water to build the bridge again, this time with the actual Kraken and not some fairly realistic crab. I have to say, the crab is actually cooler than this Kraken. They should have put a photorealistic Kraken in here. Maybe some realistic apples too. Would a Kraken eat an apple if you gave him one? Probably. Or maybe it would just eat you instead. The jousting minigame felt a bit weird in the PS1 version and I don't even know why. The aiming is way more tricky to keep it in the right spot, but on PC it feels like it's actually glued to the correct position and you don't have to do anything even. I hate horses anyways because they once almost killed one of my uncles by kicking him. Dumb minigame. Who cares about horses when you can just blow up stuff with cannons? Sadly, you can only blow up the other cannons and not the whole castle. That would have been more fun. I just like to blow up things in games, not in real life, that scares me. Every time our teacher did something like that in chemistry class, I just went under the desk to hide. After coming back, you luckily only have to collect 2 pages, but if you want to have a higher score, you can kill some bots. But killing is bad, so don't do that. Especially since they don't even do anything evil. It looks like the citizens of Lego Island even like them and don't mind them. So get to your helicopter and fly to the desert and jungle. Which was kinda hard for me to do on the PC version, thanks to the broken physics because of the too high frame rate. I even tried to change it in the Nvidia panel thing or trying to lower my monitor's refresh rate, but nothing helped. You shoot snakes, then you bang them on the head. Quite sad, isn't it? Someone on the dev team really hated snakes. I once had a friend who owned a snake and his room was a total nightmare during summers because the aquarium for the snake had to be heated and it was way too hot. This is also the part where my game kept crashing in the PC version, so maybe my PC just didn't want me to hit snakes, understandably. I hate fighting against snake mains. After that, you get to play memory, but be careful, you are not allowed to run into the skeletons or else Pepper gets so scared he has a heart attack. I know, I'm a scaredy cat myself, but I've never been close to dying because of it, I think. Normally I would have put a compilation of me here getting scared tons on stream by horror games, but that's too embarrassing. So instead, here's some Need for Speed for you. This is the part that normally never worked for me in the PC version because the FPS issue makes this one unbeatable. What do we learn from that? Never make your game tie its physics and stuff onto the frame rate. Something that developers still do, because one day your game will be playable with like 500 FPS and it will break it. Here's a PC exclusive minigame, fishing. You have to catch the big betta and as a kid I loved it. Watching this nowadays though, not sure if I would still love it as much. Probably I would since I am a big fan of fishing minigames. Every game needs it. That's the biggest crime of the modern Zelda games for me. I really do miss the fishing, so please Nintendo fix it or else I will be sad. You don't want me to be sad, do you? And then the best part of the game, dinosaurs. You get to ride on one, a T-Rex even. I only walked into the egg to feed him, not because I'm bad at video games. So he also has enough energy for this ultra cool dance. Reminds me of whenever you beat a level in Kirby. After saving some dinosaurs, it's sadly already over again, but at least you can meet the tribe people again who make magical noises when you try to talk to them. I think I prefer talking to dinosaurs. I wish they would be real. Sadly, they have never existed. Dragons did though. On PC you can even use a dinosaur to fly back instead of having to use a lame helicopter. Life really isn't fair sometimes to console plebs. Back on Lego Island, you already know what you have to do again, right? Collect some pages and get rid of the colored Brickster bots. This time you can't use pizza for it and instead have to get a boombox to make them dance to death. Isn't that a bit messed up? What makes these bots so much more special anyways? They look like the earlier colored ones. Somehow all of them are not even hiding. They're all just in the same place around the prison, as if they want to be caught. Maybe they regret their actions. Not like they had much of a choice, but still. It makes me feel bad for them. The Brickster also stole your papa and mama away. How devious of him. You can see anything else on his island, but not my parents, even though they're not Peppa's real parents since he was adopted. One day his dad just disappeared on an exploration. His mom, no mention of her anywhere in the wiki. Lego Island truly has some of the deepest lore. And it's time to go to space again. For that you need some training. I really love Peppa's face in the background here. If you do not like to train, then better grab the PS1 version since it has less training because you don't have to do the jump and landing by yourself and it just happens. I remember this being really fun, so I'm a bit sad it doesn't exist for the console players. It also makes me think, why the PlayStation 1? The PS2 was already out for a whole year at the release of Lego Island 2 and I think they could have ported the whole game onto that instead. Oh yeah, that probably cost a bunch of more money, and obviously it's better to make money with lesser products than with a good product. Not to say the PS1 version is that bad in comparison, but it just makes you wonder. So we reach Ogle Island, or I still prefer to just call it the moon, and it's a bit disappointing that the aliens here look like normal Lego people. Why aren't they green? Even the aliens in The Simpsons are green and not yellow. Nowadays there's some green Lego aliens though, so I'm jealous of the new generation. Even if Lego may be overpriced now, at least you got green aliens. Here they look more like clowns with 3 eyes, like the guy from Dragon Ball, who is also a clown. Who cares about aliens when we can bake pizza together with our parents to make everyone here happy? Noah wants some pizza too. My favorite toppings are tuna fish with jalapenos. What about yours? Tell me in the comments if you want to. This might be the most obvious comment bait I've ever done in my life, and I haven't done much of that to begin with. I'm just interested in pizza, okay? The final showdown takes place at the top of the Brickster's tower that you first have to climb, and it's quite easy except sometimes some bricks will fall that don't even look like they will fall. Which is unfair, but again, that's just life. It's like stepping into a puddle that looks really tiny, but suddenly it turns out to be a sinkhole and you drown in it. One of my biggest fears in life, so I avoid every puddle I see, the dogs too. Shoot some pizza at the Brickster and then for some reason he has this little cabin that looks like a toilet to stick his head into a bucket of water since the pizza was too spicy, even for him. Even though he loves spicy pizza. You know, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm also not into toilet humor either anymore. But I do still think that was maybe even a joke here. Him sticking his head into a bucket that makes you think it's a toilet so he eats poop. Maybe that's just the German inside of me talking, since for some reason people think we are into that kind of stuff. We are not, I think. Then the game ends and it even gets revealed that Peppa has a girlfriend. Good for him. I'm not jealous or anything like that. Would be weird since he is a Lego figurine. Who would be jealous of that? Not me, and that's the game. It's obviously not the best game ever, but it still has that huge charm that I love about it. Just a silly little Lego adventure that I really miss nowadays. But I already talked about it in my Lego Island 1 video how much I miss this generation of Lego games that actually try to be different and fill up tons of different needs. Now all Lego does is plaster a popular pop culture franchise together with it and the same gameplay. Wow. Also, while I was playing this game, I got reminded of the back of the Space Mountain and thought, why is this here? How can I enter it? A question I've asked myself as a kid already but never got the answer till now. If you type in S Dreams, there's a portal that appears since the studio's name is Silicon Dreams. Here you can meet the developers. Yay, I love things like this, like the Insomniac Museum from the Ratchet & Clank games. Sadly, there's not much more to it, but still, it's always cute to have these kind of rooms. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video and will have a good day, and good night or whatever fits your time zone. I'm already dreading having to cover Lego Island Extreme Stunts because I have lots of bad memories with that one, mostly because it didn't run on the family PC back in the day. But I don't want to spoil too much about that yet. Bye bye.